What if an elderly woman, her hands trembling with decades of hard work, was turned away from a bank counter with a cold dismissal, only for a mysterious man in a sharp suit to stride in, his presence shifting the room like a scene from a divine intervention? This isn't just a story of rejection. It's a tale of compassion, hidden identities, and the kind of unexpected grace that mirrors the biblical promise of God's provision for the overlooked. In a world where age and poverty can feel like barriers, what happens when a stranger's quiet entrance turns humiliation into hope? Prepare to be captivated, because this true story from May 28th, 2025, at 8:40 p.m., in a small-town bank, will tug at your heart and remind you that help can come when you least expect it. Let's step into that bank and unravel the mystery that unfolded before stunned eyes. It was a humid evening in the quaint town of Oak Ridge, where the clock struck 8:40 p.m. on Wednesday, May 28th, 2025. Inside the Oak Ridge Community Bank, the fluorescent lights buzzed faintly, casting a sterile glow over the nearly empty lobby. The last few customers shuffled toward the exit, their transactions complete, as tellers prepared to close for the night. Among them was 78-year-old Margaret Hensley, a widow who had lived in Oak Ridge her entire life. Margaret's silver hair was neatly pinned back, her worn coat draped over her frail shoulders, and her purse, a faded leather relic, clutched tightly in her hands. She'd come to deposit a small check from her late husband's pension, a meager $150 that helped her cover groceries and her medication. Her arthritis made every step painful, but she'd insisted on coming herself, unwilling to burden her neighbor who usually drove her. Margaret approached the counter, her voice soft but firm, as she slid the check toward the young teller, a man named Ryan with a bored expression. "Good evening," she said. "I'd like to deposit this, please." Ryan glanced at the check, then at the clock, his lips tightening. "Ma'am, we're closing in 5 minutes," he replied curtly. "You should have come earlier. I can't process this now." Margaret's eyes widened, a flush of embarrassment creeping up her cheeks. "But I've been here since 8:15, she protested. "I waited my turn. Please, it's just a quick deposit." Ryan sighed, rolling his eyes. "Policy is policy. Come back tomorrow." He turned away, leaving Margaret standing there, her hands trembling, as whispers from the remaining customers added to her humiliation. She felt the weight of her years, the sting of being dismissed, and fought back tears. She muttered a prayer under her breath, recalling Psalm 27, verse 10. "Though my father and mother forsake me, the Lord will receive me." Just as Margaret turned to leave, the bank's glass doors swung open with a quiet authority. In walked a man in a sleek black suit, his polished shoes clicking against the tile floor. He was tall, with graying hair and a calm demeanor that seemed to command attention without effort. A leather briefcase hung from his hand, and his dark eyes scanned the room before settling on Margaret. The tellers froze, sensing something unusual, while Ryan's dismissive attitude faltered. The man approached the counter, his voice smooth yet firm. "Excuse me," he said to Ryan. "I believe this lady was here first. I'd like you to assist her now." Ryan stammered, Sir, we're closing," but the man cut him off. "I'm aware of the time, but courtesy doesn't have a clock. Please proceed." Margaret turned, surprised, her eyes meeting the stranger's. He offered a gentle nod, and she managed a weak smile. stepping back to the counter. Ryan, flustered, processed the deposit with a begrudging efficiency, muttering an apology under his breath. The transaction took less than a minute, and Margaret thanked him, her voice shaky with relief. But the mysterious man wasn't done. As she gathered her receipt, he leaned closer and said, "Mom, may I walk you home? It's late, and I'd feel better knowing you're safe." Margaret hesitated, then nodded, her trust won by his kindness. The other tellers watched in silence as the man escorted her out, the bank's doors closing behind them. Outside, the rain had stopped, leaving the air cool and fresh. The man introduced himself as James Carter, explaining he was passing through Oak Ridge on business. "I couldn't stand by while you were treated that way," he said. "It reminded me of my grandmother. She faced similar struggles." Margaret shared her story as they walked, her steps steadied by his presence. She spoke of her late husband, her modest life, and how she relied on faith to get through tough days. James listened intently, his expression softening. When they reached her small bungalow, he handed her a business card. "If you ever need help, call me," he said. "No one should be turned away for being kind." Margaret thanked him, touched by his gesture, and watched as he disappeared into the night. The next morning, the bank manager, Mrs. Ellen Pierce, reviewed security footage after a customer complained about Ryan's behavior. She was stunned to see the interaction with Margaret and the mysterious man. Curious, she contacted the number on the business card James had given, only to learn it belonged to a regional director of a major financial firm, someone with the power to influence local policies. Mrs. Pierce called James, apologizing for the incident and promising to address it. James, gracious but firm, suggested staff training on customer respect, hinting at a possible review of the branch's practices. Mrs. Pierce agreed, and by noon, Ryan was reprimanded, with a mandatory course on empathy added to his schedule. But the story took an even more astonishing turn. 2 days later, on May 30th, 2025, a delivery van pulled up to Margaret's house. Inside were groceries, a new coat, and a note. From a friend who believes in kindness. JCU, the groceries included items she'd mentioned, her favorite tea and bread, and the coat was a perfect fit for her frail frame. Margaret cried, overwhelmed by the generosity. She called the number, and James answered, his voice warm. "I couldn't help myself," he said. "Your faith reminded me of my grandmother's. Consider it a small thank you for restoring my hope in people." He revealed he'd lost his own grandmother recently and had been struggling with cynicism, until Margaret's quiet dignity changed his perspective. Word of the incident spread through Oak Ridge. The local newspaper ran a feature titled, "Mysterious Suit Saves the Day," praising Margaret's grace and James's kindness. The bank issued a public apology, offering Margaret a free account with waived fees as compensation. Community members rallied, donating to a fund for her, while the church she attended held a special service, citing Matthew 5:7. "Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy." Margaret became a local hero, her story inspiring others to acts of compassion. She even started volunteering at the church, sharing her tale to encourage the young. James returned to Oak Ridge a week later, meeting Margaret for tea. He'd arranged for a part-time caregiver to assist her, funded by his company's charity arm, which he'd convinced to expand its outreach. "You taught me something," he said. "Sometimes the smallest acts Like standing up for someone, create the biggest ripples. Margaret smiled, her eyes bright. And you showed me God's provision comes in mysterious ways, she replied. Their friendship grew, a bond forged in that bank moment, proving that kindness can transform lives. What does this mean for us? Margaret's story is a call to stand for the overlooked, echoing Proverbs 31:8. Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves. Who can you help today? A neighbor, a stranger. Here's a challenge. This week, perform one act of kindness. Offer a ride, a kind word, or assistance, and share it. It might spark a chain of good. Let's close with Hebrews 13:2. Do not forget to show hospitality to strangers, for by so doing, some people have shown hospitality to angels without knowing it. The old lady denied service found a mysterious man, and together, they revealed a divine lesson in love. Thanks for watching. If this story moved you, like, comment, and subscribe. For more powerful real-life stories, turn on the notification bell so you never miss what's coming next. See you in the next video.